About love. The film begins with a stunning woman, Nina, buying stuff at a supermarket. Her budget shrinks as she pays the bill for the purchases, forcing her to return something. From there, it becomes clear that she is not financially stable. During her walk back from the store, a car passes close by and splatters her with murky water. She lashes out at the driver as her dress becomes messy. The driver pulls over and approaches her. He offers her money and apologizes for his action. Nina screams at him, declines his cash offer, and continues on her way. Nina arrives at her home, which is a total mess. Alexander, her hubby, is waiting for her there. She tells him about how her clothes got dirty and about the guy who offered her money. She's being debated by Alexander, a professor by profession, about why she hasn't accepted the money. Both of them are struggling to make ends meet and are in significant debt. Even though their home is mortgaged, the bank is constantly sending them notices to pay off their debt or risk having their home taken away. She starts to cry after reading the bank's notice because she fears they will soon lose their home. Then, her husband comforts her and promises that they will soon find a solution to this issue. To make her feel better, Alexander removes her attire and they begin to be intimate. The next day, Alexander teaches his class, and Nina is one of his students. At home, they are a couple, but at college, they are a professor and a student. After that, Alexander instructs Nina to visit the bank and asks for an extension to pay off her debts. Following this, Nina arrives at the bank. When she walks into the manager's office, she is surprised to see that he is the same guy she had yelled at for making her dress dirty. The guy also notices Nina right away. He introduces himself as Sergey and inquires as to Nina's purpose for being there. Then, Nina tells him about her financial situation and asks him to extend the limit. Despite retaliation for the insult she has inflicted on him, he extends their limit to pay the debt. She expresses her gratitude and asks if she can do anything in return. Sergey informs her that the bank will soon be holding a business meeting with Chinese people and requests her recommendation for a Chinese translator. Coincidentally, she is proficient in Chinese. She offers Sergey her services as a translator. The Chinese company's boss enjoys playing gambling games. He plays with Nina and Sergey as well. Sergey hands her 2 chips so she can try her luck. And what a stroke of luck! She wins both bets and makes about $7,000. Sergey and Chinese are both astounded by how skilled she is in this game. She gambled all of her money after winning 2 straight games, but sadly, she lost this time. But they are both relieved that they at least had a good time. Sergey then brings her to a restaurant for dinner. Nina asks him to extend the limit to pay off debts a little bit more. He replies that if she agrees to sleep with him for a night, he will extend the limit. When Nina hears this, she becomes enraged and walks away. Upon reaching home, she tells Alexander everything. She also tells him that she lost all of the $7,000 she earned from gambling. That amount is too much for Alexander, so he yells at her for being so stupid to gamble it all in one game. A few days later, the bank sends them another notice, urging them to pay off their debts quickly. When Nina sees it, she becomes concerned that she is left with no choice but to comply with Sergey's demands. She calls him and tells him she is ready to spend the night with him. Sergey reserves a hotel room for them that evening and brings her along. They begin to have sex, but Sergey does not impose it on Nina. Instead, she does whatever she wants. Nina is impressed by his polite gesture. They eventually get a bank extension to pay their debts, but Nina is a little bit in love with Sergey. As their new relationship progresses, they start having regular sexual interactions. Sergey unexpectedly disappears after a few days. Nina searches everywhere he used to go, but is unable to locate him. She loves him so much that whenever her phone rings, she jumps to it, thinking Sergey is calling. On the other hand, Sergey is at home because his son is ill, and because his wife Tamara constantly complains to him about not spending enough time with his family. Therefore, he is spending his time there with his phone turned off. Nina acts strangely around everyone, even her best friend and her husband. She is taken to the hospital by Alexander because he believes she is ill. He brings her home after she is released from the hospital, and to cheer her up, he makes an effort to have sex with her. Nina opposes him before revealing that she no longer loves him, and that she is in a sexual relationship with Sergey. After hearing all this, Alexander beats Nina and pushes her out of his house. After being made homeless by Alexander, Nina finds a way to get in touch with Sergey. She explains to him what happened between her and Alexander. Because he is a wealthy man, Sergey picks her up and purchases an apartment for her. There, Sergey and Nina can have sex without interruption. Nina later shows her apartment to a friend, who asks if Sergey will marry her or just fuck her. Sergei is then questioned by Nina about whether or not he views her as anything more than a sexual object. He responds to her query by saying that she is more important to him than anything. She's overjoyed by this, and they continue to have sex without tying the knot. After saying goodbye to Sergei, Nina goes to take a shower. In the meantime, she hears the doorbell ring and immediately exits the shower while wearing a bathrobe, thinking it is Sergei. When she opens the door, she is shocked to see Alexander standing there. He walks into her apartment and makes fun of her, telling her that she will never be happy with Sergei. He continues by saying Sergei only views her as a sex slave. Because of this, she becomes enraged and yells at Alexander to get out of her apartment. Alexander then grabs her by the neck and forcibly rapes her before leaving the apartment. Sergei eventually returns to his apartment to spend the night. When he notices Nina sitting sadly on her bed, he inquires as to the reason. She replies that because of their ongoing sexual activity, she became pregnant. Sergei is shocked when he hears this, but since he is the one who caused it, he keeps quiet. After that, Sergei visits Tamara, his wife, and tells her everything. Tamara, who is already aware of his affair with someone, does not give him a shit. It isn't a big deal for Tamara, because they are already sharing a home as a divorced couple. Here, a furious Alexander arrives with a knife, intending to kill Sergei for getting his wife pregnant, but Nina stops him and calms him down. The scene cuts here and shifts to a few years later. Nina is now the mother of Alexander's child, and Sergei has reconciled with Tamara and is now cohabitating peacefully with both of his wives. Alexander attends a party where Nina and Sergei are guests. He speaks to Nina and tells her that he loves her and is waiting for her. He goes on to say that she is welcome to turn to him at any time if she ever feels alone. Nina then leads him to a room where they begin to have sex. Once they've had sex, Nina departs, telling him it was their last interaction. At the end of the film, Nina expresses regret over cheating on Sergei, who loves her and is the father of her son.